Hello! I think I got the timing better for that one. Are we all good today? We are carrying on with our forum and we're going to be doing moderator accounts today. I completely gave up yesterday with the this thingy where it just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. So I'm going to revisit that like when I can be bothered. It's JavaScript. Who needs it? So today we're going to look at moderator accounts, moderating content. Hopefully that will put us in a good position to then come back to this and look at clean code in Laravel. That's the whole aim of this stream series right now, is creating the base for something that we're going to then refactor in a kind of a clean code way. And while we're doing that, we can discuss, should we be doing it this way? Should we be doing it this way? Hello. Thank you all for joining me. It is awesome to be here. Awesome to have you with me. And I just wanted to show you something really cool. So I use Warp, the Warp terminal a lot. And they've just released the coolest thing I've ever seen, which is you give them a picture and they match the theme to the picture for your terminal. Look at that. It's a bit creepy having my big old face like right in the terminal, but I love how it's matched the colors and it's just kind of pretty awesome, right? I mean, and if anyone uses Warp, I'm going to drop my referral link in the chat. Or if you want a Mac and you're not using Warp yet, try it. It is mind-blowingly good. It is the terminal that you want to be using. Like there's all sorts of things you can do. There's AI command searches. It uses ZSH underneath the hood, but it's basically taken like what your terminal could do and given it steroids. There's AI searches. There's like workflows, command snippets. There's so much cool stuff. Try it, don't try it. It's beautiful. I love it. But we are here. We're building a forum, so that's what we're focusing on. I have got the code open in this screen, and I've got the app open in the browser over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deny you the ability to see my beard, and we're going to focus in on the code itself. So moderating accounts. We need a way to identify users as moderators and admins, right? So the nicest way that I found to do that is to create an enum. So typically I'll create like an identity. There we go. Sorry, slow morning for me. An identity namespace, and then I'll drop like a role enum straight in here. So let's zoom in. There we go. So what this will do is it'll just be string based. I mean, you can do int based if you really want to. Makes very little difference. But you can have an admin, which is an admin, moderator, which is a moderator, and just a standard user, which is a user. I wanted to quickly pause and just say, there's been some talk around how you should use enums. So some people like all uppercase, like I do. Some people like to go all lowercase, but apparently with docs say you should do it this way. Now, to me, that doesn't make sense. It should be uppercase or lowercase to me. Much like you would if you were doing a constant in a class. It typically constants, I would put them all uppercase, and I see the way that I use enums is a very similar approach to how I would do them. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to have an enum role doing it this way. Yes, you might want to do these differently, but that is how I do them. Follow the docs, don't follow the docs. Yeah, if it feels like a constant, it should be uppercase. That's the way that I see it. The language docs say otherwise. Other people say it should be lowercase, Pascal case, camel case. You can't be kebab case, but you know, for me, uppercase makes sense because it feels like a constant. James, completely agree with you there. See, even Jim says the same thing. Jim is a legend. If you don't know Jim, you should know Jim. So what we want to do is on our database migrations for our user, we want to give this person a role. Now, because this isn't actually a deployed project, I'm just going to edit this directly and just say, you know, if this was a deployed project, I'd have to create an alter table, but because it's not, I don't have to. I just don't. So I'm going to say by default, it's going to be a user. So simplify that. Open the user factory. Come down. We are going to give this role as well. Role user. What I will do is I will add a helper. So we'll say public function in the factory. If we want a specific role, let's just pass it in. This will return the user factory, and we'll return this state. The state is this callable where we've got the array attributes. We're going to return an array which will have that. So, you know, I am going to be able to kind of, in my factories, declare, okay, I want this one to be an admin. Yeah, I could go through and create each specific one, but it just feels like a waste. Just pass an argument. So much easier. So email, we're going to want to pass a role through. Casts, so we can say our role is going to be a role class. And that's it. That is permissions or roles done. So I'm going to migrate fresh and seed. Actually, before I do that, I'll go to my database seeder, and I am going to make myself an admin like that. Now I can run the seed, and we're all good. So yeah, the sparsely enums package is handy for some of it, and then you can like use sparsely data. I don't use it because I like to be very deliberate in any types enums objects that I create. Helper packages are fantastic, but sometimes they just increase your laziness, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's just my personal thing. What I think might be cool is like if it's an admin or moderator, maybe they should have like a different colored name or something. I don't know. I'll think about it later. Maybe I'm just going to PHP BB on that one. So, okay, so I've got an identity for the role. And what we want to be doing here is what can these people do? What's the difference between an admin and what's the difference between a moderator that a user cannot do? So the first thing we need to think about is content. Content needs to be flagged in some way, right? So a discussion needs to have some level of flaggable status. So we want to be able to say table string status. I don't know why my phone just lit up. Google thought I was talking to it. No, go home, you're drunk, Google. Stop it. So we'll come back to our enums. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a moderation namespace and just have a status within there. So we're going to create an enum for the status, which is going to be a string. So we're going to have a published as a status. I mean, these are all just kind of off the top of my head. So if they don't make sense, I apologize, but my brain is on a funny wobbler. I've had like 3 or 4 coffees. So we got reported and I don't know, removed. So published, reported, and removed. So what we've got there is just different statuses. So we can say, okay, so this is published by default. As soon as it gets reported, it gets flagged as reported. If a moderator or admin decides it should be removed because of the reason it was reported, it gets a removed tag. And maybe in like the user settings, people can choose, okay, I don't mind seeing reported or removed content. I think giving people that choice is always important when you're talking about like user generated content, because the same with like the not safe for work stuff, people choose to see it, and that's absolutely fine. Maybe they want to, live life on the edge. So let's just pull this one in. I apologize, my network goes a little bit winky wonky. I'm trying to stream in HD again because people didn't like the 720p. Understandably, but Welsh internet connections only afford so much. So we're going to add our status into here. The default status is going to be published. And I will add another helper into here. So public function status. And we pull in the status and pull back a discussion factory and return this state. The callback is a function that has the attributes as an argument, returns an array, and then returns back the status as status. So that's state, isn't it? Yeah. State. We have a constant stream of electricity in South Wales. We do. It only came about the last 3 years, so it's a new thing for us. We like to talk about that a lot. Right, our discussion. We need to add our status to it. Then our casts, what we want to do is say that our status is a status class. So there we go. We're adding that actually. Let's go back and have a quick look. Searchable ID title. Maybe we'll add status to this as well. This status value. Let me come up to the top here and say property status and status. And I need to do the same thing on the user model. Keep my code how I like it. Property role. There we go. So I can close all of those, migrate fresh again, and we're all good. The same thing needs to be done with posts. So a post can be moderated as well as a discussion, which is, kind of normal, I guess. Everything's published by default, and then let people kind of manage themselves, as it were. So let's just pull this in, import that class. I'm going to come to the discussion factory, and I'm just going to copy this across to my post factory like that. So it's going to return a post factory, not a user factory, and then status is going to be status published. Means that our post class can have a status, and we need to add casts so that we can let Laravel know that we do actually have an enum cast there. That's all good. That is going to work how I need it to. All I need to do is add this property status there. So that is kind of like the back end setup done. So we'll migrate fresh again. That's all good. What we want to do next is we need to look at how it's being sent back to the front end. So if we look at the user resource, for example, let me zoom back in, sorry. Email, we're going to say we're going to pass back the role. So this resource role value, send that back. Same thing on any discussions. We want to say, you know, this, the status of this discussion is X, and then we're going to do the exact same thing on our post all the way up here. Now our post isn't actually passing the ID back, so let me make sure I add that. This resource ID, this discussion passing it, yes it is, user is also, yeah. That's just an oversight from my perspective. Topics don't actually need an ID, but I'm going to keep them for reference. So the only thing left to do is come over to our JavaScript, go down to our types, or a TypeScript, should I say. Our user, they are going to have a role, which is a string. Our discussion is going to have a status, which is a string. And our post is going to have a status, which is also a string. Yeah. Typing's hard. Typing's just hard work. So there we go. I've got my post, my discussion, and my user all done. So if I come back to here, refresh, ooh, app models discussion. Status is there, and there, and there. Why is that complaining? Missing attribute exception. So create discussions table, status published. Oh, wait a minute. A cache clear. There we go. We got it. What I'm going to quickly do is I'm just going to stop that pop-up happening in our layout. Where is it? It's up here somewhere. People, fetch results, la da 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 da. Lots of stuff. Oh, okay. So that's just popping open by default. I thought there was like a control mechanism somewhere. Where is it? Where's it displaying? Pop over as template. Open. Ooh, okay, so we don't actually have that yet. Oh no, it's search now, isn't it? So false, I think. Let's test. Yeah, it was search. It's all good. We got it. Got it covered. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want a quick way to like moderate these. So we might want like a little kind of button at the top where you can do something with it. So we need to go to Tailwind, come down to these components, and this specific thing was a home screen from an archived example down here. So like this. So that is what we need really, isn't it? So what we need is to look at that profile drop down, not important, da-di-da, recent questions, likes, replies, report content, transition block. That is what we need. And that comes after the menu, div, menu and div. That comes after the date. So let's go look at our components UI discussion card, date, just before the title here. So we need to pull in all of these things, all the things, pull them in. So we need, let's just grab that and remove what we don't need. I find that's the quickest way for me to work with any sort of kind of JavaScript, is just remove what you don't need. So let's just format that. So solid, headless UI, outline. Okay, so we're gonna drop that one, and that one. We're not using them ones. We're not using the popovers. Headless UI. So only implementation. There we go. So let's go see what it looks like. Open our forum and refresh. Oop. Fantastic, right? That is PHP Storm. Yep, just PHP Storm using the new UI. You can disable it and it looks horrible, or I can enable it and be happy. So PHP Storm, it is beautiful, beautiful. Doesn't work as well with TypeScript. Maybe it just needs like a better setup. I don't know. So what I want to be able to do is add to favorites and embed. I don't want those two first things. I don't want like add to favorites and embed. That's not something I'm trying to worry about right now. But this report content, this is what we need. That. So we need like maybe like a global modal that can get triggered, or maybe it takes you to a report page, something along those lines. So let's focus on like a report page, so it can like, yeah, you can really focus in on like reporting something. But how do we store them? That is the next question. How should we store, things that are being reported? We want to say, maybe we will make a model report, perhaps something simple like that, just a table you dump stuff into. It can then be dealt with, and there's a log of it. It just keeps things, I suppose, simpler. So I'm gonna clean up this quickly. We can then do this, make this a ULID, primary. So what we're going to want to do is, we reported it. If that user decides to delete their account, we still want to keep a track of that. We want to constrain it to the users table. And if the user is deleted, we just want to set the value to null. So table string type of the report. So that's, something like, you'll be asked like, why? Text for the content of the report. What is it that bothered you about it? Then you're going to want like a table ULID morph for reportable. That I will. Can you index? Let me go check the personal access tokens, how they work. No, it's just did I even do ULIDs? Yeah, I did. So I need to update this quickly and just do a ULID morphs on that one. There we go. ULID morphs. That'll just kind of handle all of that. What content is it? What, why, when? Okay, maybe that's how. What, do what's. Like, why is it being reported? We need like a why. maybe this should be like an enum, perhaps. So if we look in moderation, enums, moderation status, we could have a reason enum, which is something that we can grow out. We can say like, other is going to be in there. There's another reason why this might be, blah, blah, blah. So a good example of this is if I come over to X, for example, and say, okay, here's my tweet. I want to, maybe I need to see like someone else's tweet. Let's go to home. This one, clickety click. If you click report, you start a report. Who's it for? So these are the reasons that like Twitter or X is asking. So identity, harassment, spam, impersonation. So this sort of thing you can do. So identity, I'm not very good at spelling. Is that right? Hey, I got it right. So harassment, identity, harassment, case violence. Maybe we could just do in appropriate. Does that spell right? Hey, very good. Yeah, and I'll call it that. I apologize in advance. Warp, you were the first tweet I saw to get this information. You know I love you guys. Right, there we go. So they're the different types of reasons. And what we're going to do is we're going to default this to reason other, just because we have no idea at this point, right? So we've got a report. We're going to have a report factory so we can generate them. That means that we have to look at like a workflow. So as soon as something's reported, what do we do? So model is a report. When we report something, we are going to have a reason. Other, just make sure that we are doing things right. So that should be reason for the report. Then we're going to have like the content of the report. So this, take real text. Someone said I should use real text, so I'm doing it. And then like the reportable ID is going to be, I'm just going to use discussion by default. And then the reportable type is going to be discussion. So I'm going to enforce a map. The user ID is user factory. Like I also think perhaps like one thing that a lot of these things don't consider is like we're going to default to anonymous on this. So I want to report something, but anywhere you see it, yes, you're going to track my user ID because you need to kind of log it. But an anonymous report means that anyone moderating isn't seeing who submitted it. That I think is perhaps something that's quite useful. Because sometimes, yeah, it just is. I think we can all agree that anonymous reporting is advantageous. You don't want to keep reporting things as yourself because you don't want to feel like you're, I don't know, something. You know what I'm getting at. Public function, reason, and this will be a report factory. Return this state. And state is a function that takes an array of attributes, returns an array where the reason is the reason. Beautiful. Beautiful. I just love getting into like a flow for this sometimes. Use has ULIDs. Declare some strict types because we're real PHP developers. We do final classes because final classes are important in my eyes. So we have a reason. We have the content of the report. We have the reportable ID. We have the reportable type. And we have anonymous and the user ID. So if we cast this, we're going to want to say that the reason is a reason class and anonymous is a Boolean. This is going to have a public function user, which belongs to, so we can say return. This belongs to the related model is a user. The foreign key is a user ID. So then over on the user, we want to say, reports, public function reports has many. This has many related reports, and the foreign key is user ID. There's one thing I kind of forgot to add here, I think maybe, is like, what is the status or outcome of this report? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to, again, another enum, because enums are beautiful. I'm just going to say outcome, default to something. So in my moderation, I'm going to put a new outcome string. So we're going to say the worst case for an outcome is removed. We have removed the content or removed the user. Removed user. There we go. We've removed the user. Case removed content. I don't know, in an investigation phase, perhaps, and we'll add like a no action. No action is required, maybe. So outcome, we're going to default this to outcome investigation, because that's like the initial phase that it will go into. So then on our report factory, we're going to want to say that, where did I add that after reason? So the outcome is outcome investigation. We'll add that over here as well. So we'll have an outcome and outcome. So we know the status of a report, for example. And then finally, no, I'm not going to have any kind of like this is assigned to whoever. I think that's just going to open up a whole another can of worms, and the whole point of this is to do something fun, and yeah, it's just going to open up too many cans of worms, I think. So let's go back to the report. We need to add a public function reportable. This is a morph2, I believe. Return this morph2. Like the name is obviously going to be reportable, same as the method. So in our app service provider, not only do we have a JSON resource without wrapping, and the model should be strict, but we want to add relation enforce morph map, where the map called mappe is an array where, let me just go double check the docs on this one. So laravel.com docs, and then we want to say morph map. Let's go have a look. Okay, so name of the map, class name. So we'll have a discussion, and then we'll have a discussion class. We'll have a post and a post class. Now, I don't think you're going to report users. I think you should only report content. It's a byproduct of a user. So it's the actual content you're reporting, not the user. Then if maybe a user's been reported X amount of times, you then kind of just ban the user. Those sorts of things. So we've got that going on. That's reportable. Let's have a look at polymorphic relations. So we need to make sure we're doing the correct thing. Post find. Let's go just all the way up to the top quickly. One to many. Post video comments. The comment is commentable. And then this is a morph many. So there we go. It is. Let's go to our discussion. And this is reportable. Public function. Should we say report or reports? This is a morph many. Return. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Morph many. Where the relation. Actually, what is the argument for this? Related is the report, and the name is reportable. What else does it accept? Type is discussion, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, so I'm going to grab that. I'm also going to put that on posts all the way down here. That is the same. There we go. That is what we want to do. The final thing that I like to do is add a doc block right at the top of the property. So we'll have a property string for the ID, a property reason for the reason, a property outcome for the outcome, a property string for the content. What else are we adding on here? Property string for the reportable ID, a string for the reportable type, Boolean for the anonymous, and a string for the user ID. There we go. So that's added all of those. That makes it a little bit easier for my static analysis, which is, something that I like. I like a lot. So we can drop that, come down to our resources component and our discussion cards. What we want is this menu div here, div flex. We want to put that on the postcard as well. So here. Has that already got it all? Yeah, it does. It's got most of it already. Beautiful. I like it. So let's come over to our forum and let's click on it. Or actually, we'll just sign in first. So gmail.com, password. Do I need an API? Yes. You idiot. Post. Yay. So now you can go report that content. So now we just need to think about the API endpoints for creating this, or maybe not the API endpoints, but reports.php. Need this bit. Essence fixed types because we like them a lot. Grab the facade there, and we can say root post. We want to create a new report and we want to store it somewhere. So in our roots, what we want to do is roots prefix reports as reports group is path roots web reports.php. So they should now be loaded. Let's, am I in the right place? I am. So we're just going to do a quick root list. We've got post reports right here, report store. We just need to start creating the action. Oh, it's like I know what I'm doing for a change. So app, HTTP, controllers, reports. I'm going to create a new store controller. This is going to have an invocable action. Like that. So down in here, I can say a store controller there, and I'm going to pull in that namespace there, which allows me to do this. Right, so what else do we need? We need to make a request, and we want to do a report request. So on this controller here, we want to have a store request for our reports. And this is going to return a redirect response. Over here, we can declare strict types, make it final. We need to worry about authorize because it's true by default. It's already behind middleware, I believe. So all we need to do here is that reason is required, and the rule, the enum, where the type is reason. And that's all I care about for that. So if I open up a report, the outcome is added later. Content, if you're going to go to the effort of reporting something, you've got to add some text to it. You've got to explain why you're reporting it, in my eyes. The reportable is going to be We want to pass through the ID. That is required. Reportable type. Also required. It should be a string, I suppose. So that'd be a nice way to like do validation on morphs, right? Gotta be. So anonymous is nullable. If it's there, it should be a Boolean. Isn't there like I'm pretty sure there's a validation rule you can use for validation rules, available validation rules. There's like a confirmed. For example, field for validation in password matching password. Okay, so it's not confirmed. Boolean, no. Is it like checked or there's one accepted, yes or no. I don't want to accept. I basically want it to say Boolean, really, don't I? So it's a yes or no radio button in effect. The user reporting it is going to be the logged in user. Simple as, still need to validate on that. So you basically just have to say what you're reporting, why you're reporting it, and give a detail on why you're reporting it, and whether you want it to be anonymous or not. Store controller, that's doing all of that. That is fine. What we then want to do is, so I do this slightly differently by pushing it to a background job and handling it that way. But as we are going to be doing a huge refactor of this content, I don't want to kind of make that part harder. I want to make sure that this looks like something you might actually work with. Sorry, quick sip of the odd Ribena. So we want to say a report is a report. Oops. Query, create. So we need to think about uniqueness on reports as well, don't we? So if we just go to the create reports table, we can add a unique key. So table unique, that can be an array. So we're going to have the user ID, the reportable ID, and the reportable type. So that will stop people reporting things more than once, because that user cannot report that piece of content more than once. Basically, that's what it's going to stop. So that means we don't have to do a create or update, which makes it easier for us. So the reason is going to be reason by from, where the value is request string reason to string. The outcome, we're going to just pass it that default outcome of it is now under investigation. The content is going to be the request string content to string. Is this the best way to do it? I'm going to do it this way. The reportable ID is the request string reportable ID to string reportable type. Type is request string reportable type to string. We have to do some kind of validation on that one. Anonymous. There we go. We got it. Request Boolean anonymous. And then finally, the user ID is going to be whoever is logged in. So in our constructor, we can pull in that construct private read-only authenticatable auth. This auth get auth identifier. So I explain this a lot, but I'm going to explain it again. This authenticatable. So what happens with this is if you are logged in, you will get an authenticated user injected in. Otherwise, your authenticated user will be null, in which case you're trying to access methods on it, and you'd have to do things like that if you're not sure. However, this is wrapped behind auth middleware, so I know it will be injected. I could use like the auth helper or the auth facade, but as I've said before on lots of things that I do, why use a facade or a helper when I know for a fact I need it? Dependency injection is your friend. Use it where you can. Okay, so we have created that. That will work. We need to update as well. So when it's reported, we want to get at this point, we're going to do something like reportable update, maybe. Let's see if that works. So the status should be status moderation reported. That's kind of what we want to do there. So then we can return new redirect response URL. We're going to go to action index controller. We're going to basically just take them back to the home page for discussions and just say, cool, yeah, we handled that. Here's your redirect. Maybe you'd use like a flash message in the session or something. But right now, I'm just happy with that. This is hooked up. That is all done. So now I can come down to my resources, JS, components, UI, discussion, go away, do not disturb. What I want to do is have a method for reporting. So don't need that, don't need that. Okay, so we're gonna have to like create lots of forms, which is super annoying. But we'll do it. Use form. So the reason on this one, oh no, we just need to do a redirect, don't we? So that's going to have to be a view. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's just going to have to be. Have I pulled in link? Yes, I do. I don't need that. This menu button opens up, and then this menu item will be a link that is going to have to go to root reports create going to want to pass through multiple parameters here. So we're going to want to say, we're going to want to get the props discussion ID and the word discussion passed through, and discussion. Let's see if that is going to work the way I want it to. Hopefully it does. Okay, so we want to do a root get where we're going to have the ULID passed through and the reportable type passed through. The name is going to be create. This will show a form. So up in our controllers, we want to do a create controller. So public function invoke. We're going to accept the base request, string for the ULID, and a string for the type. This needs to use has inertia response, and it's going to return a response from inertia. So what it needs to do is return this response, render component we want to render is going to be reports, create. The props we want to pass back, I will figure out. Okay, so so much to think about. So much to think about, isn't there? So let's create this first. So does this work if I go reports, create.view? It does. That makes my life so much easier. Script, setup, language is TypeScript. Then in our template, we want to say application there. That is going to be pulled from there. And then we'll just keep it at that. Keep it at that for now. Reports, create controller, class, done. Discussion card, that should now work. So if we come over to here, go home. If I click that, we are going through to reporting that discussion. Perfect. So on my create controller, what I want to do is basically I need to look up what the reportable content is. So for this, I want to say my model is going to be type class. It's not going to work, is it? Is there a way you can like look up class based on the name? Relation, get morph model, alias, type. What happens if I now do that? At model, oh, that is amazing. So now I can say instance is going to be model query find or fail based on the ID of ULID. And what I can do for this is just do a quick var. It is going to be some form of model for the model, which should stop that issue there. So that get morph model, null or string, give me a class string that I can then work with. there's my instance. I can pass that back. The instance I am passing back will be, it's going to pass the instance directly instead of using any sort of like transforming. The model is going to be the type identifier is going to be the ULID. Reasons is going to be reason, cases. That should pass everything back. So now I can const props is find props. So my instance is going to be an object of some sort. Let's put that on this side. The model is going to be a string. The identifier is also going to be a string. Make sure I'm spelling things correctly. Yeah, not spelling string correctly is probably not a good idea. Okay, so reasons is an array as well. So thing. I'm not sure. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so next I need to go and say const form equals use form. What I need to do is build this form. So my reason needs to go in. My content needs to go in. My reportable ID is props.identifier. The reportable type is going to be the model, props.model, and anonymous is gonna be false. Start with. Then we'll have a const submit, which is going to be an asynchronous async callback. I don't know if this makes a difference, but I can just say form.post. The route we want to go to is reports store. This accepts two parameters. I think no, it doesn't need any parameters. Perfect. Then preserve state is false and preserve scroll is true. Right, now I can look at building a form. Oh, so much to think about, isn't there? Okay, so let's make sure that this loads and doesn't have any errors in the console. So far, so good. Let's go and look at Tailwind quickly, and we're going to go to form layouts, this one. What we want is a nice simple layout like this. Let's go drop down. Cool. Okay. Let's just grab all of that for now. I'm just going to drop it in and modify the way that we need to. So come over to here. Let's drop it in and see how it looks. It looks terrible. Perfect. Okay, so let's swap the layout for focused instead. And that means that I can use that layout, which will be then full width. Perfect. I'm going to grab that and we're just going to say div class container mx auto max width is 7xl. Drop it in. Sure. Okay, errors. Use a circle icon. Okay. It didn't add in the stuff that we need here. That is my bad. So my fault, not your fault, my fault. Refresh. Perfect. Look at that. And like if I zoom out to a normal level, it looks reasonable. So what we need to change then is report content. Please use this form to report some content that you feel does not belong on this platform. Something simple like that. So what we've got is they've got a text thingy I don't want. Text area I do want. This label can, no, I don't need an image. Don't need an upload. Don't need a cancel. So if I now come down to this part, that's a text input, select. I will need a select input. So I can grab that and move it to the top up here. Go past the select, label, text. And then the final one, comments is a checkbox. But no, I want to use a radio input, this. So I need that field set. Let me have a quick look at the field set. Yeah, that should be good. Come down, field set, grab, done. Scrolly ups. Whee. So I'm used to talking to toddlers, so I do apologize. All right, and let's go look at this. Perfect, we're getting somewhere. So let's collapse this and let's collapse that. What we're going to do is drop this into here and then drop this into here as well. Have a look. Cool. So the coal span full. Max grid is 6. So we're going to drop this down to 3. Coal span 3 by default. This is class coal span 3. Why are you next to each other? Okay, so we're just gonna have to kind of like copy that and just say grid coals 1. You want to kind of replicate it like this. Gap Y 8, small and above, grid coals 6. There we go. Scroll. Yes, I'm so used to talking to my kids. I apologize, anyone watching this on YouTube. I know you are not my children. Jesus Christ. Oh, anonymous. Keep your report anonymous, but only you can see that you have reported it. Radio ID push, 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 push. Is there anything here? No. Okay, so ID is anonymous. Name is anonymous. Or anonymous. Radio remain anonymous. Then the name again will be anonymous. However, the ID this time will be identifiable. And this one will get my identity. Something like that. And then the final one can just be deleted because we only want 2 options. So there is that. Remain anonymous. Then on the select box, we want to say that reason. I don't want it autocomplete. Reason for report. Let's just drop that. And we can now do like a V for reason index in props reasons, where the key is the index. The index. Oh, I really can't spell today. Then we want the value to be the reason, and then we will reason. Right, refresh. Other should be a string, so there should be some formatting stuff that we can do. Reasons. What language am I using? I forget. Oh, sorry, I was thinking I was in Go for a second. Okay, so then we can go about. We can call that the content. Content. Good. The label for this is please explain. And then the helper text can be please write at least 1 sentence so we can understand your point of view for reporting this. There we go. Right, next up, we want to vModel bind this to form.content. Select, we want to vbind or vModel. We can shortcut it to vModel. Form.reason. Anonymous, we want to, where's the input, here we go. vModel is form.anonymous. Can I bind both of them? How does that actually work? Come over to View DevTools quickly. Create, drop the instance, reasons, set up form, anonymous on. Okay, so it needs to be a checkbox, a single checkbox, doesn't it? vModel anonymous, ID anonymous, checkbox, keep my report anonymous. Means I can then drop that one. Keep my report anonymous or not. Perfect. Reason for report. Keep it up. Blah, blah, blah. Don't even know what happened there, but something happened. Fantastic. Okay. Next up, we want to come over to, let's just grab some error reporting stuff like this. So on when we're creating it, we want to be able to say, oh, spaghettios. So input error, form errors content. There we go. Here it is. Never fear. Select reason, and then there's not really going to be a reason why this would ever fail that I can think of, but I'm going to pop it in there anyway. Okay, so what's going on with this network? Preserve the log. Save. It's not actually doing it. I haven't hooked up the form. Oh dear. Okay, so that'll be why. So v on submit. So what I could do is just kind of delete some of the other stuff. Save. What is even going on here? Let me do all of that. Save. Thing cancelled. Ports. Okay, so something's going on. Let me just scroll through and see what's going on. This bit is fine. Submit post reports store, which is reports store. Let's just refresh that so we can see it. Lists. Post reports, reports store. And that should be redirecting somewhere else. So let's go have a look at the button. Make sure that when we are clicking it, it is doing the right thing. Button type submit. Yes, submit report. So that should be okay. What I also want to do on here is I kind of wanted to share like a preview as well. But maybe I'm just getting kind of lost in the minute details. Test. Submit. So why is that? Let's come look at our form. Form errors is empty. Errors is still. Why is this doing that? It's still doing like, oh wait. Oh. I still need to tell the format it is in fact a post request for behavior reasons, I think, don't I? Method post, perhaps. Make sure that it is displaying correctly. Yeah, that's cool. Form submit dot prevent test. Actually, I'm just going to go. Let's see what's going. network, submit. It's reports create error reason field, content field. It's not showing errors. Form errors content. For some reason, it's just not showing the errors. So here's a form saying it's empty there, but the response did get it back. Okay, what I'm going to do is just make sure it can successfully do it first. Let's clear those logs and let's go test identity, keep my report anonymous. Aha, no such table reports. So that won't be helping. So let's come back to here. Let's sign in and test again. I want to report this content. I click that. Okay, it's doing something, but it's not actually showing me anything. Blah, blah, blah. Autofocus. Is there autofocus on here? No, apparently not. Test, harassment, submit. Awesome. So it did do something. Let's just connect the data source quickly. SQLite. I am in herd forum database. Go refreshing, just go down to the reports. Make sure that I've got one. I do. I've got one. It is under investigation for harassment. Content was test. It was anonymous, but you know, so I can see that I reported it. I still get that in there. But what will happen from a kind of looking at all the reports page, the moderator or admin will, just not see that person has reported it. They'll just see that it has been reported. So notifications and such will still work. But yeah, there we go. There we go. We can now report content. What I'm going to do is, here is a post. If I click on that, I want to be able to report that as well. So that's going to basically take everything that I did on this discussion card. Where is it? Root discussion. That is what I need. That. So on this postcard here, when we are saying report content, we want to do that. This should be a link. Props, post, and post. Underlining. No overload matter. Yeah, whatever. So props.post.id. I could probably use .id. Let's make sure I'm actually passing. Yeah, I need to make sure I pass the ID on that as well. Seems to be linking up nicely, but now if I report that content, I can say test, inappropriate, go. Come back to my database, look at my reports, and this is now for a post. It's like I know what I'm doing sometimes. It shocks even myself. Okay, I think this is a good point where we could probably draw a line under it and say, we're going to revisit this with clean code. I wasn't planning to build a full complete forum. What I wanted was enough code to be able to refactor. So let's git add, git commit, reporting and moderation stuff. So I am now going to go away and plan the clean code series. I've been asked to record it. Let me know on Twitter if you want it to be recorded, or drop a comment in this video. I'm going to leave it all up to you. How do you want this to, the next part to be? Do you want it to be recorded? Do you want it live streamed and then edited for kind of, I don't know, there's videos that I can create from it? Let me know what you want. Also, like, comment, subscribe so that I can feel good about myself and not wasting my time. Thank you all for tuning in. It has been absolutely awesome working with you again. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay awesome.